An MLB insider has revealed 2 new targets for the New York Mets heading into free agency, as the team desperately has a few different areas to cover as they look to be a World Series contender last year after this disappointing season. And there has been a lot of discussion surrounding free agency, surrounding what the New York Mets are going to be doing, and also answering a bunch of questions outside of that, just having to figure out a whole lot about this team going forwards. And we're going to break all that down. There's a lot to go over on the New York Mets right now. The offseason is about to be upon us with the World Series having 3 games left, and with that, a lot of noise is happening and a lot of moves are going to be coming. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss a single New York Mets update. And guys, if you are part of that 75% that's not subscribed, what are you doing, man? This is the place to be for all New York Mets news all day, every day. You got 3 great New Yorkers coming at you, talking New York Mets sports every single day. Up there out in Queens, man. You don't want to miss out on all the great content right now, given I am on the road right now, but that's not the point. Look, the Mets, they are really, if there's any team that it feels like they have their work cut out for them in regards to expectations this year, to the lack there of how it worked out, and then also we're expecting them to just go out there and throw haymakers in free agency, it's the Mets. Let's be real about this. The Dodgers, the only expectation we have is that they're just going to keep getting every single Japanese star. So this year, Munetaka Murakami. Outside of that, we see like a team like the Yankees who are expected to do something and then probably won't. And then outside of that, there's maybe the Toronto Blue Jays with Bo Bichette trying to bring him back. The Mets are the team that we all look at, that everyone, I mean we as baseball fans look at and say, this is the team. This is the team that we think is going to go out there and throw some haymakers. And now we have new updates from an MLB insider on just some more targets for the Mets. I absolutely love these ideas for this team just because it covers a need that is so massive that if the Mets don't seriously go crazy on it, I don't really have the greatest World Series expectations. So let's jump right into it, guys. That's what we're here to talk about after all. And just diving right into it, the first name that was mentioned in regards to the New York Mets who they'll be targeting is none other than Framber Valdez. Now, Valdez is the best pitcher on the market, and Jim Bowden mentioned that Valdez has pitched in plenty of big games and has a track record of performing in the postseason. He's an elite ground ball pitcher who pitches deep into games. He did struggle down the stretch this season, allowing 4 more runs in 4 of his final 5 starts, and was the subject of some controversy. Even with the end to that season, he's still the best starting pitcher in this year's class. Some salary comps are Garrett Crochet's 6 years, $170 million. Tyler Glasnow's 5 years, $136 million, Carlos Rodon's 6 years, $162 million with the Yankees. Blake Snell's 5 years, $182 million with the Dodgers. So those are some of the deals that we look at and see that Framber Valdez is sort of going to be sort of hanging around there. Now, Valdez, he did have a good season. Is he an ace? No. I mean, he was the Astros ace, but no. But the Astros don't have very good pitching. So for the Mets, I'm going to be completely real with you guys right now. I think he's a 3rd pitcher for the Mets. Maybe a 4th if you want to put Nolan McLean over him. But I want the signing. I just bit my tongue. Because a 3.66 ERA, a guy who can rely to stay healthy and throw a lot of innings, threw 192 innings, excellent ground ball pitcher, had 187 strikeouts. So don't think of him as a strikeout guy, but excellent ground ball pitcher. He gives you a lefty arm, which you're never going to argue with. Obviously, we will see how the rest of this goes. But by that I mean Tarek Skubal-wise. But also, on top of a whip of 1.245, he is a arm that you would love to have as a back-end rotation guy for an elite team. The Mets want to be an elite team. You go out there and you say, boom, we're giving Framber Valdez this contract. Now, there is a limit. There has to be a limit. I mean, at the end of the day, we know David Stearns is playing with some good money here because of just everything that Steve Cohen brings to the table. But that hasn't worked thus far. So there is a limit where if Steve Cohen's like, all right, here's your cap, don't throw everything in the kitchen sink for Valdez, because there's going to be a team that I truly believe will try to overpay for Valdez, and it matters on what Framber wants to do. But with Framber Valdez right here, I would love the New York Mets to make him their 3rd or their 4th pitcher, depending on where you want to place Nolan McLean. I know McLean had an ERA that's 1.6 better, like 1.6 runs better, so I do understand that. But at the same time, I do still want to see the New York Mets bring in veterans, bring in guys who have played playoff baseball, bring in guys you could trust in playoff baseball. And that's what Valdez has been in regards to having that experience. Now, the 4.34 ERA is not the most exciting thing in the world, but we've seen him have good playoff runs. That's elevated based off his last 2 playoff appearances, where he had a 9 ERA in 3 games, which is terrible, and a 6 ERA. But prior to that, he did have some good playoff runs, starting 4 games a couple of years back, having a 1.44, and starting 3 games and having a 1.88. We've seen him perform well in the playoffs. And again, this is what I'm saying. Back end of the rotation in the playoffs type of arm. I love the idea of Framber Valdez here. Now, again, just to say one more time, this is with the caveat that the Mets don't overpay him. But I do like the idea of Framber Valdez, and I also like this picture because it makes me laugh, which is why I used it in this video. Now, on top of that, there is another guy who we're looking at as well, and that's Dylan Cease. As Bowden mentioned, Cease has started 32 or more games in each of the last 5 seasons, striking out more than 200 batters each year while logging between 165 and 190 innings. This season, he led National League starters in strikeouts per 9 at 11.5, but also saw his walk total increase and his ERA jump to a 4.55. His home runs per 9 also rose from 0.9 in 2024 to 1.1 this year. The wobble in command is a concern, but his ability to miss bats, their ability, and career FIP off of 3.67 will have several contending teams lining up to bid for his services. Some salary comps are Garrett Crochet with that deal that he has, Tyler Glasnow, Carlos Rodon, Blake Snell. So if that sounds familiar, I wonder why. Maybe it's because it's also the same for Valdez. Now, the Mets were linked to both of these guys. Bowden did say the Mets are a potential suitor for each of these 2 guys. These are the 2 top pitchers right now in this class for starting pitchers, and teams are going to be willing to spend a lot of money. I know Dylan Cease did not have a great year stats-wise. 4.55 ERA is not good. A whip of 1.327 is not good. But we've also seen Dylan Cease go out there and perform like an absolute monster before. We've seen him do it. We've seen him have excellent years, whether that's in Chicago, whether that is in San Diego. We've seen him as a great pitcher. This year was not that. But even so, when you're still going to be getting 100-something plus million over this contract, you understand that this is a guy who we know can deal. And the Mets, again, this is a similar thing where I don't want the Mets to sign and be like, boom, there's our ace, there's our older guy. We're going to run with just a couple younger guys after that as well. I don't want to see that happen. I do want to see the Mets sign one of these 2 guys just to make sort of a statement and also, again, add a very talented pitcher. But I don't want them to keep looking at trades. It's not realistic to imagine. Like, let's be completely honest with ourselves right now. I know that we're all like, oh, well, let's trade for Tarek Skubal. Let's then also trade for Freddie Peralta. No, because here's why. One, they're both free agents next year. We could be doing the same dance in a year if the Mets lose these 2 guys, except with way less prospects. On top of that, it's not realistic to imagine the Mets are going to dump off all those prospects whatsoever because those guys are going to cost an arm and a leg. I mean, to get Skubal, it's not going to be McLean, but Jonah Tong will be involved. Jet Williams will likely be involved. Brendan Sparrow will likely be involved. And that's just getting started right here. There's a whole lot of other names we could keep throwing in there. Ronnie Mauricio could be involved. There's a lot to talk about. With Freddie Peralta, will the Mets still have the assets? Yeah, they have the best farm system in baseball, if you ask me. But at the same time, doesn't feel realistic they're going to make both those moves. Feels kind of like a fantasy world or an MLB The Show type situation there. I don't believe that that's actually going to happen. I do think the Mets are going to trade for Tarek Skubal. I'll be completely honest. I do think Skubal's going to be a Met next year. I've said this before. If Skubal is not, I do think Peralta will be a Met this year. But here's the thing. I don't think they're both going to be Mets. We can't just get one star pitcher and be like, all right, let's just fully rely on the young guys. Go out there and bring in a Framber Valdez or go out there and bring in a Dylan Cease and just get another experienced arm who's had great years, who's performed in the playoffs. And, well, here's the thing. Cease has not performed in the playoffs, which is a little bit worrisome here, which is why I kind of prefer Valdez a little bit. Also, he's a very different pitcher from Skubal, but also Cease pitches from the right side, which is a little bit better. So your 2 aces are different arms. But look, I mean, Cease has an 8.74 ERA in his 5 playoff appearances, but they're very, very few and far between just in regards to games played. So he's played in 13 games. He hasn't performed well. It's definitely worrisome, but at the end of the day, I am still willing to give Dylan Cease a chance just going forwards as well. It's just the Mets need to make a move that's a free agency signing instead of just trade. You can't trade for a million pitchers, and I know there's a bunch of great young pitchers, and McLean will be one of them, and I do imagine Senga will be back as well. So that seems like there's 3 pitchers that you guys got to add to this team. Let's say one of them is Skubal/Peralta. There's your ace. Outside of that, you bring in a Valdez or a Dylan Cease. Outside of that, maybe you add another young guy. Maybe you bring up another guy, or maybe you go in a completely different direction. Maybe you don't go Jonah Tong if he's not traded, and you go in a different direction and try to sign someone else, or make a trade for a lesser name, but also someone who's a very talented pitcher as well. Someone who comes to mind, the Yankees have a million starting pitchers. Like, you hold off and wait on a Clark Schmidt who you can get in a bargain, because if he comes back, all of a sudden you got him for half a year, and then he hits free agency. If he's good, you could keep him. If he's not, you don't. And that's the type of move that I'm saying. Make an under-the-radar move after that. And if you still need more pitching, wait till the deadline and then figure it out there. Guys, what do you think? Am I right? Am I wrong? Am I an idiot? Am I calling this right? You guys let me know in the comments down below. I'll be sure to get back to you. Like this video, subscribe, turn on post notifications. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, guys. I'll catch you later.